before we get into our chat with Will Fennell from the Fennell Shooting School, please could I ask you to subscribe to the channel if you would like to share that. It'll also help a lot on our way and our mission to get more shooting content out onto YouTube. Enjoy the chat with Will Fennell. A massive privilege after much wrangling and time zone. It's been great to get Will Fennell onto the Flying Target podcast. Will, thank you so much for making time.
No problem, man. What you up
So
to?
I see you're in your man cave, and I see there are guns and gun cases. The perfect place to be. I take it you've been out coaching today?
Coaching all morning and then prepping. Our opening day of whitetail deer season is tomorrow. So did a little zeroing and prepping for that tomorrow afternoon. I'll teach in the morning and then I'll hunt in the afternoon.
So Will is a true marksman. He shoots it all, rifles, pistols, shotguns. And this is actually why I'm so excited to chat to you, because one of the few people who has a story similar to mine. I also came from rifles, then ended up in IPSC pistol shooting, and have now graduated onto clay target shooting, sporting clays. Easier on the knees, I find, Will.
Absolutely. Can't run around like the kids used to, for sure. So, yeah, I was a three position small bore shooter in college. I grew up hunting like everybody and killing stuff. And then three position small bore in college. Then I shot IPSC for a number of years, IDPA for a number of years. Dabbled in the early days of three gun, but really not serious at it. But we had a big shoot here in the U.S. called the Chevy Sportsman's Team Challenge, and Chevrolet sponsored it. They put some money behind it, and they designed a tournament that was rifles, pistols, and shotguns, but you shot it as a three-man team. So it worked well for television because there's a lot, and you're all three shooting at the same time. So there's lots of screaming and hollering, and you cover me, I'm loading, and and it was really pretty fun. And it was like 22 rifles, center fire and rim fire pistols, and then of course shotguns. And I got recruited by two shotgun guys to be on their team because I was the rifle pistol guy. And they took me to shoot sporting clays to practice, and I just fell in love with it. And I got better faster with the clay target stuff than I had been with the rifle pistol stuff. But I was pretty good, but I just got better faster, and it suited my lifestyle at the time. I was still in the sales world. I was covering the southeastern U.S. by car, so I could stop in at ranges and shoot all during the week. And just got bitten by the bug. So now rifle and pistol shooting is kind of my fun thing to do, my hobby, so to speak, because I stay pretty serious about the shotguns.
Yeah. And you are one of the premier coaches in clay target sports now in the US. Lots of your videos about with Johnny Carter from TGS, etc., and the guys from the Clay Lab. And what I do really enjoy is that the Fennell Shooting School, and by invite only. You can't just drive off the road and drive in and come and see it. I think that is so excellent because from the pictures I've seen, it is a beautiful facility.
Yeah, lessons are private. And what I found out when I first started teaching here, on my website, I had the address and everything. Well, people would just pull up in the middle of somebody's private lesson and go, "Hey, where do I stand? I want to shoot too," And so it made me realize that I kind of need to keep it private. A lot of people are also kind of uncomfortable taking a lesson, somebody watching them being instructed and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're behind a locked gate, and it makes for a better experience, I think.
And what you do have at the Fennell Shooting School, which I think is really great, is you can basically replicate any target thrown around the world because of your mech machines, your MEC machines. You can move them out. You've got the ones that go by remote control, which is really, really great. So
Yeah,
if a
that's the
student does have a
Rene.
particular problem, you can sort it out exactly right.
Mhm. Yeah, the Renair shotgun sports, they're clay bots. I have mech machines mounted on them, and they're very versatile. I mean, I today had a guy that was having trouble with English teal or going away LT teal shots, and so drove the clay bot up to where it was at a reasonable distance where he could hit it. And every time he hit three in a row, I'd drive it out another 5 yards. And it just makes for things. You can crank the spring up, make them faster. You can lower the spring down and make it slower till they can hit it, and then you work the speed back up till they have trouble. And it's very, very versatile. The only thing I'm short on right now, my tower is down, but I'm working on another tower. But yeah, you got to have a tower at school, so I'll have one again here shortly. But it's a lot of fun. And then I've got some really first class ranges close to me. I tell people that taking lessons at the shooting school is kind of like a driving range and a putting green. That's where you learn your stroke. But then after we've had a couple lessons here, then the next lesson will be down at, say, Rocky Creek Sporting Clays or Hermitage Farms Shooting Ground. And we work on playing the game. We go out on the course and play the game and work on how to play the game better. So it's a varied approach, but it's pretty, we call it bespoke instruction. We tailor the lessons for what your needs are.
So in the US, you've become known as Mr. FITASC. You've had a big love affair with the FITASC for a long time. You were one of the first Americans to religiously make the trips over to Europe to go and shoot. And we were lucky enough, well, I was lucky enough to meet you. We were squatted in the same sort of area at this year's World Shoot in Cyprus. And when you say you take your students to go and play the game, are you also finding that it's not generally a technique issue necessarily? It's being able to apply the technique on demand, no matter what the circumstances. And I'm referring here to Cyprus being 47 degrees on a couple of the days.
Yeah, so it's we try to, I think it's an advantage to have a base technique that you apply all the time unless you decide something requires you to do something different. I think it's important to have something you just step up there and that's your baseline and that's what you're going to do. But then, you come around the corner and there's a big English sporting and there's a big trap shot. I'm not going to start low gun on that. There's a method for shooting mounted gun on trap style shots. There are some targets in FITASC that, are moving but require no lead. Then we're just going to maintain them until they come in focus. So yeah, there's some variants, but I try to make my English sporting game and my FITASC game as similar as possible because here in the States, typically your FITASC events are side events at major English sporting events. So I got to be able to do both on the same weekend.
Yeah.
So I try to make the two games as similar as possible. I'll use a lot of low gun in sporting where some of my peers don't, but I find that anything I've got to wait on the target to get to my gun, I'm better off with the gun out of my face and mounting to the bird. So yeah, so we practice both. When I get to a big trap shot with a student, if the student shoots FITASC, we'll shoot it sporting style and we'll shoot it FITASC style. The hardest shot in FITASC is a big trap shot because the gun speed you generate mounting the gun is greater than the gun speed you need for the target.
Yeah.
So it's important to kind of do it both ways. That is a separate technique in sporting, and you don't want to cross the streams. You want to keep your two techniques separate. But it's an awesome sport, and FITASC is obviously my favorite. I enjoy English sporting too, but if there was enough FITASC sporting to shoot, I probably wouldn't even shoot English sporting. I mean, I just enjoy it that much more now. Yeah, this year's event in Cyprus, that was pretty tough conditions. That was. I live in the southeast U.S. It's hot, but the sun was just hotter there. The sun just, if there had been some more shade, we'd have been okay. There was just no shade.
Yeah. I did have a quiet chuckle to myself when they said we were shooting in the forest and then we got up to the mountain and the forest was three pine trees. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
forests
right.
are a little
Yeah.
different in Cyprus. Um, so
Yeah, we could have mowed most of that forest with a good bush hog behind a tractor.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So, well, you're also a student of the game, and I've had a few guests on now. Todd Hitch being one of them, Berry being one of them. I've spoken to Amy Eastman. I'm very much under the belief that the reason that the Americans have not only caught up to the Europeans and the Brits, have actually, in my opinion, surpassed them is because you guys adopted English sporting early. Like that's what you shoot week in, week out, one target, one cartridge, and you're getting that repetition. And I think the mental part of English doubles makes Europe or English and American shooters lethal when it comes to competing. Would you agree with that kind of a statement?
I think that's part of it. I mean, there's no, there's no room for error when you're shooting pairs because you got one cartridge per target. Um, you do have to learn to switch though from that mentality to the mentality of FITASC, but that's not that hard. You just really don't need to drop any singles in FITASC.
Yeah.
Um, and going from the loose and free feeling of shooting your singles to the oh shit, I've only got one shot per in the pairs.
Yeah.
That's the art in FITASC. But you're right. I think the day in day out of shooting pairs all the time makes pairs not near as big a deal to us.
Yeah. What I'm now glad to see is that England have adopted a bit of the American mentality of how to do things. I mean, from
Yeah.
what Eaton Hall looks like, it looks like they've taken a page out of an
Yeah, and
American
it's
range.
hard. It's very hard. And because the grounds just aren't big enough to do all the
Yeah,
shit we do.
yeah.
Like I just shot our Southeast Regional Championships. It was probably 2 to 2.5 miles from the northernmost shooting station to the southernmost shooting station. I mean, you know how we all use these buggies over here, not even golf carts anymore. We're all riding around in Polaris Rangers and stuff. I didn't keep track this weekend, but I think the last regional, I did 48 miles in my buggy.
Wow. Wow.
So we have the space to have the main event, the prelim, the super sporting, the five stand event, the FITAS event, the subgauge FITAS event, the subgauge sporting event, the side by side event. We have room for all that.
Yeah.
And when I tell my students here that, yeah, I go over to the World FITAS and after the event starts, I may not fire another cartridge. 50 targets a day, that's it. I might shoot 50 to 100 targets warm up before the event starts, and that's it because so many clubs in Europe don't have the space or don't have enough traps
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have more than that. I mean, that's Churchill's does a great job of it because it's a 80 odd acre club, which is for England's big.
Yeah, it's big.
But then Sir Dashwood owns, a couple of thousand acres next door, and they
Yeah.
build the courses over there. Um, so, now at Eaton Hall coming on, I haven't been there yet, but I've heard nothing but fantastic stuff about it.
Yeah.
That they've got space to have lots of events and that kind of thing. But so many times you go somewhere in Europe and it's the main event. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be a lot of Americans. They're like, oh, well, we'll shoot a prelim as a warm up, and then we'll shoot the super sporting kind of as a warm up, and then we'll be ready by the time the main event starts. You got to hit the ground ready to win the championship from the first cartridge you pull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a different mindset.
And I think that's where possibly your IPSC and rifle background come in handy for yourself because IPSC, when the buzzer goes, that's not a
It's
warm up.
time. It's time to work, right?
Now we're on it. And sometimes some of that cold start is maybe a good thing for some of the shooters. Yeah, in South Africa we've just got we have the space. We just got a numbers problem. We don't have enough shooters to make it economically viable to have as many traps, etc., etc. So new style fit task is almost impossible for us to throw.
Right,
So we
right.
still work.
And it doesn't make sense. You don't have enough competitors.
Exactly.
You need to have, I don't know what the number is, but I think you got to have 400 or 500 competitors for it to economically start to make sense.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's hard to get that many together here, even here in the States. We do new style usually at our national championships. The FITAS side event will have enough people where they do 3 pegs new style, and that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not, and I'm asking the wrong person here, but I always found it quite interesting that when the UK has the World English, it's generally a week apart from the FITASC. But when it's the other way around, it doesn't generally work that way. Is there a scheduling issue? Is it
Yeah, it's too damn hot in Texas. to do the
Yeah.
world sporting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the US, July is just hot. I mean, Texas, South Carolina, Florida, Kansas, it's just hot.
Yeah.
And too hot.
No.
I mean, I matter of fact, I was making the argument, we were all a bunch of us talking not long ago, because the World FITASC will come back to the US, I think, in '08. I'm like, why can't we do it in November?
Yeah. Well, we've got the
You
same
know?
problem in South Africa. I mean, we'd love to
Oh,
have,
yeah.
but I mean, who wants to come and shoot in the middle of winter? I mean, even though South African winter's not winter, but
I'd rather
still.
come there. I'd rather come to South Africa in the middle of the winter than the middle of the summer,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You could fit in a hunt.
Yeah. Like, well, and you put on a sweater and you're okay
Yeah.
versus sweating your balls off. You
Exactly.
know? I mean, we have I know we have a lot of kids, especially here in the US, but still the bulk of the shooters are 55 and up.
Yeah.
And, you tell those guys they're going to stand around in some 100-degree Fahrenheit heat
Yeah, they're
for a
not gonna do
week.
it.
Yeah.
No, they're not gonna do it.
I mean, I had in Cyprus this year, um, Katusha Spada,
Yeah.
she collapsed on the second peg.
Yes, I remember that. The
I
ambulance
mean,
came up. Yes.
yeah, I caught her as she fell.
Yeah.
She was in rotation right ahead of me.
Yes. I
So, I
remember.
mean, it's just, I was drinking, I would go out for my two layouts, 50 targets. I'd drink 3 liters of water and be thirsty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I drank
I
the one
mean,
day. I drank the day it hit 47. I drank 9 liters of water, and the only way that any moisture was coming out of me was perspiration.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
So yeah, it was hot. And I think maybe FITAS does need to have a look at that. We need to maybe move
Yeah.
these.
And nobody's given me a good reason why it's always got to be in July.
No one.
It's just like somebody decided that was the way it ought to be. And
Yeah.
if we had it later in the year, then all the countries would have more time to get their Grand Prix and their Continentals in. And what's wrong with October, November? Have you ever been to our nationals?
Never, never, never.
Yeah, you got to come see that. It's our governing body. I take issue with some things they do, but the one thing they do a great job of is our national championships.
Yeah.
It'll be 2,500 shooters. There'll be a 300 bird English sporting main event, 4 days, 10 stations per day, 40 stations. 100 bird FITASC event, 100 bird super sporting, 100 bird 5 stand. Another event they just call the Krieghoff Cup. The Krieghoff sponsored forever. It's a separate 100 bird event, biggest 100 bird event in the country every year. All the small gauges, small gauge FITASC, side by side pump gun. I think it's well over 1,000 targets you could shoot that week, registered targets if you wanted to.
Now we've had a
And
few
then
guys go and
every night there's the north-south shoot off, or the champion of champions shoots off, and everybody's out there having a beer and betting on guys that are out there shooting, and it's a really good time.
yeah.
And it used to be the 1st of September, which was really hot, and they moved it to the end of October, and the weather's generally speaking pretty dang nice out there, and just good time to be in Texas.
Fantastic. Well, you had some success at the Southeast Regional. We're hoping for
Yep,
some more success at the
absolutely.
National Championship. Um, before we wrap it up, though,
It's been kind of a roll since England, since the world.
yeah,
You
you've had a
know,
good year. Everyone thinks that the guys who are full-time coaches, oh, you're so lucky on the range all day. So, like you
oh,
said, your hobbies now are rifle shooting but nothing sucks the
uh,
joy out of something than making you do it 5 days a week, 9 hours a
yeah. I
week.
mean, when I had a quote real job, I couldn't wait to get off work and go practice.
Yeah,
Now that I'm standing on the range all day, teaching in and of itself doesn't hurt your shooting. What it does is kills your joy to go practice.
yeah,
Because when I've been on the range all day, the last thing I want to do is go back down there and get the voice release out and practice, because I've been standing there all day.
yeah.
So I have to schedule time to go practice. Like, I've got 3 days scheduled next week for just myself for practice. A couple of good students. We'll go shoot some big targets. But that's it. It just kills your joy.
Yeah.
So that's why I shoot some rifles and I shoot some pistols and I do a little hunting and I do all these things. Because it's hard to stay enthusiastic to go out on that practice field when you've been out there all day long. And I know it sounds like a good problem to have, and I'm not
No,
whining. I'm pretty happy about it.
no,
I
no,
love
no.
my job.
Whitetail season. Obviously, I'm very, I'm completely unknowledgeable on how it works. Can you just basically go into, obviously with the right protective gear and visibility gear, but into the public parks and to go and get yourself a whitetail?
There's designated areas. The wildlife department prints these maps out that highlight areas that are they're available for public hunting. It's like a $5 permit. You can hunt 100,000 acres in South Carolina. Um, I'm lucky enough to have my own property, so I hunt on my own property
Okay.
mainly. But I go out to Texas every now and then and hunt and go to some different places. But tomorrow I'll be hunting at my own place,
Oh,
and I've
fantastic.
been planting food plots and fixing up the deer box tree stands and mowing my paths in and all that kind of stuff. And we've had kind of a bit of a drought, so most of the stuff we planted died. So then we had to plow it up and replant again.
Mm.
Um, you don't kill the big buck over the food plot, but the does come to the food plot to feed, and then the bucks come chasing those. Just enjoy being out there and good pair of binoculars and watching everything going on. And if a big one walks out, I'll zap him. And if he doesn't, I'll go again the next day.
Well, that's some therapy up in the tree there as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for making time and for chatting to the Flying Target podcast. I know there are plenty of these out there, but I think the more shooting content we can get out, especially from knowledgeable people who actually know what they're talking about, the better for the sport. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem, buddy. Take care.